Hi there, bookish besties. Welcome back to my channel. We have a very chaotic episode in store for you guys today because these are moments from Sunrise on the Reaping that literally are haunting my mind because these moments change everything we know about the Hunger Games trilogy, and I can't stop thinking about them, so I need to talk to them. We need to hash out, deep dive, and yap about this. Please, as I'm going through this, I want to hear y'all's unhinged thoughts, piece of that book that just keeps you up at night because you can't stop thinking about it. I have at least 10 different moments that we're going to discuss in this book in detail, so tag along with me, guys. Put your tinfoil hats on, get ready to deep dive. And if this is your very first time seeing my page, hi, I'm Ashley. Let me be your next bookish bestie. I love to talk about all the chaotic theories and unhinged thoughts and everything about books. I've seen so much incredible growth on this page and this channel recently, and I've just absolutely loved it. I have a goal this summer to hit 500 subscribers, so come be a part of the family. I have a really fun surprise I'll be announcing at 500, so you definitely want to be a part of that. So you guys know the drill. Get comfy, cozy, your fuzzy blankets, your beverage of choice. I'm now realizing that my outfit right here, I'm giving the 2017 College National Championships for football. Back in the day, a little fun context about me is I attended both of these schools. And a third one that's pictured in the back of this video. See if you can find it. But go ahead, get comfy, cozy. It's like about to storm. Ooh, that just makes for the perfect vibe combination. But without further ado, y'all, I can yap all day. You guys know this. Let's go ahead and dive on in. All right, y'all, now it's been a couple of months since we've had Sunrise on the Reaping and plenty of time for us to just deep dive into this material and really have all the context come to life. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I need days, weeks, months, years to process some things. We've gotten the cast announcements, a lot of them set in stone for the movie that releases in November. I cannot wait, sidebar, to see that movie and see another take on this material. It's going to actually destroy me. But not as much as these unhinged thoughts and details from the book that completely recontextualizes everything that we know about the Hunger Games trilogy. These thoughts keep me up at night. These are things that I will randomly text my friend at 2 a.m. and be like, what is your thoughts on X, Y, and Z? And now I expect you guys to go into the comment section and yap about this with me because I cannot keep these thoughts to myself anymore. They need to come out, and I'm sure you guys have thoughts that need to come out too. Starting out strong with my dad's over there. The reveal of Beetee might have been the most heartbreaking and heart-wrenching reveal of this entire book. And I realized we had a lot of reveals of characters that we've known and that we love in this book, but the reveal of Beetee adds so much context to this character. One, because Ampert is such a little ray of sunshine. He's literally here on summer camp, is the vibe that he was giving. And Beetee knows it's punishment for him, and he knows that there's nothing he can do to save Ampert at all. Plus, near the end of the book, you hear that Beetee has a wife, and her wife is pregnant. And that's why Beetee, for lack of better terms, cannot go and be with Ampert. However, fast forward to Catching Fire, we have Beetee, we have no wife, we have no child. What happened? I need to know what happened. I need to know those details. Snow, what did you do? What did you do? Because you know they were punished somehow. Because there's nothing as heart-wrenching as what Snow did with Ampert putting him in the arena. Did he put Beetee's second child in the arena? Did something happen before the child even got to the arena? Like, I've got so many questions and we're not gonna get answers, but that just keeps me up at night. And speaking of Beetee, we have to look at Wyrus and Mags. The amount of context to their characters, like, it's okay to cry in front of Mags adds so much depth to her and Haymitch's relationship, especially when you add in the layer of Catching Fire. And Haymitch is all like, when she goes, I hope she goes quickly. She's a really nice lady. That's a quote from the movie, but it still really applies. And knowing that in Catching Fire, Haymitch's name was originally Reaped, so there's potential that Haymitch and Mags could have gone into the arena together with Wyrus. Anyway, it adds so much. And speaking of Wyrus and Mags, the torture after the games, you're telling me that Wyrus wasn't always nuts? You're telling me she went nuts not after her game, but after the torture she went through after helping Haymitch? That Mags, I would say, progressively aged. She was in a chair. She was mentioned in a wheelchair in this book. And you're telling me that happened after helping Haymitch? It really adds to the whole layer of Haymitch isn't winning, he survived. His punishment for winning the games was survival in all the different ways that Snow could punish the people around him to punish Haymitch. Haymitch also, at the very end, doesn't raise geese for no reason. I can't be the only one at 13 years old when Mockingjay came out reading it day of, because you know I skipped school. You know I pretended to be sick to get my hands on that book. And I'm reading the epilogue, and I'm like, oh, Katniss, oh, Peeta, oh, there's so much worse games to play. And being like, but why is Haymitch raising geese? It felt a little weird, felt a little off, but you know what? If that man was happy, I was okay with it. It was a happy ending. Raising geese is better than a Finnick situation, y'all hear me? But now we know that he was raising geese because of Lenore Dove, and he was doing them in honor of her. And in his mind, Lenore Dove was aging with him, and they kind of were like raising the geese together. And he was the first face that the geese saw, just like how Lenore Dove was the first face the geese saw, and how the geese really loved Lenore Dove because they saw her face first and they just tolerated Haymitch, but now those geese love Haymitch because that's the first face that they saw. And then you also add in the tidbit where, like, when he's sober, he takes care of the geese, and then the alcohol shipments come in, he drowns his sorrows again until he's sobered up, and then he can take care of the geese. And it's just really, really sad that he's trying, but like he's still suffering, and the geese are like a little break from the suffering. Oh my god, am I gonna cry about this book again? But I guess I am, because now we're going into the whole Katniss of it all. Because this book changes Katniss and Haymitch's relationship, like their entire dynamic. And I know we've touched on this before, and if not, you picked up on this when you were reading that obviously Katniss reminds Haymitch of Luella. That's his original sweetheart. That's why he calls her sweetheart, la-di-da-di-da. But I need you to take a look at all of the actions that Haymitch does to protect Katniss, to choose Katniss. And it's not because she was feisty and she was the face of the revolution. No, that was his best friend's daughter, like Uncle. That's fun Uncle Haymitch in another life. That's someone who, if they had traditional wedding ceremonies, he would have walked her down the aisle if Burdock wasn't there. Like, that's Funcle Haymitch! And it just adds such a layer of context to their relationship and how he always chose Katniss and how they are truly, like, they're two sides of the same coin. Like, he sees himself reflected in her and her wittiness and her smartness and her comebacks. Like, Haymitch is looking in a mirror when he looks at Katniss because he's seeing Luella mixed with his best friend, mixed with him. One more thing about Haymitch and Katniss, that they are two sides, they are parallel, but they are different in that Katniss was able to recognize that her love was eating something poisonous before it was too late. Because Katniss saw the Nightlock and was like, Peeta, don't you dare, because Burdock taught her what Nightlock was, and she caught it before it was too late for Peeta and he took the poison, versus Haymitch literally fed her the gumdrop. Anyway, keeps me up at night. When it goes to everyone talking about what it is that they want, Haymitch is the one that says in a very political way that he wants to end the Hunger Games. He thinks that 50 years is enough. We should be good after 50 years. And he says this to Wyrus and Mags, and I can't help but wonder if it was this comment that he said to Wyrus and Mags that got back to Beetee, and that's how Beetee knew that Haymitch was the one for this, breaking the arena. Because why else would Beetee single Haymitch out. Out of the other, 47 tributes that were around, the ones that Ampert got along with, because Ampert was scampering all around that gymnasium, which, by the way, is from Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Anyway, he's scampering around that gymnasium, making allies and bringing up the newcomers together. And he singles out Itchy Haymitchy for this, to bring to his dad. And his dad is the one that says this is the guy for the job. I don't think it was Haymitch's charisma. I think it was his gusto and the fact that he told Mags and Wyrus he wanted this to be the last Hunger Games. And they said, that's our man. That's our man. Because why else? Why else would Beetee trust him? How else could Beetee rely on him? Again, keeps me up at night. And on that same topic of everyone talking about what it is that they want, because we know Mags and Wyrus asked that question of what is it that you most want? And it's not always to live. A lot of times it's your preferred way to go. And without even realizing it, everyone who answered the question went out the way that they wanted to. Wyrus was afraid of the dark. She died in the daytime. Mags wanted to die for her district partner, which she does for Finnick. Even down to Maisie, who wanted to die with dignity. She was not an animal. She did not want to beg for her life. Her throat was cut. She literally couldn't, but she also died with dignity. The only exception that I can find is Peeta, because Peeta did not want to be a piece in their games. And what happened to him in Mockingjay? He was hijacked. Now, arguably, at the end of the epilogue, Peeta does come back to us. It's mentioned that he still has flashbacks, PTSD, as anyone who goes through this traumatic events would, but he never gets fully recovered, so he doesn't get that. What he wants at the end, like everyone else did. Granted, he got to live, so that's his consolidation prize. The way that Covey haunts the narrative, and I'm not just talking about Lucy Gray. I cannot wait to see that scene with Haymitch watching Lucy Gray perform and making the connections that Lucy Gray and Snow have that connection. That's gonna be so good to see in that movie. I cannot wait for that scene. Curious on how they're gonna do it, but I'm sidebarring because it's the Covey as a whole that haunts this narrative. Tan Amber is the one who made the Mockingjay pen, who sold it to the Donners, who gave it essentially to Merrily and Maisie. That's Tan Amber. And then that gets passed down to Madge, who passes it down to Katniss, which again, how are they gonna store and correct that in the movie? Because they excluded my girl Madge, justice for Madge, the point that Katniss actually has female friends. This is a very important thing. Katniss is one of the girls. What do you mean? Anyway, I could go on my pedestal and I could rant all night about the exclusion of Mags and how it low-key ruined the first Hunger Games movie. Different topic though. Back to the Covey haunting the narrative. Clerk Kami. Literally, he's been there through it all since the beginning. The little fiddler player just doing his thing. He was there from the formation of the districts because was a teen. By the time the 10th Hunger Games were there, they got trapped in District 12. He was there from the beginning. And there's a mention in Mockingjay of a lone fiddler player playing District 12 dancing songs at Finnick and Annie's wedding in Mockingjay. Because there was a note in Mockingjay when they were having the wedding, District 13 had no culture. They lost the culture. That's what the Capitol did to the districts, is really sucked them dry so there was nothing left. But District 12 was able to hold on to that part of themselves through the Covey, through dances, through singing, through songs. That's why a lot of that was banned. But Clerk Kami, inferring from what we know, with his fiddle, playing the Covey songs and all the District 12 people dancing their little booties off. There he is at the end, haunting that narrative, being there the entire time. And it's not just Lucy Gray that haunts Snow. And we'll circle back to that point here in a second. I do need you guys to follow this train of thought for me for a second. So as we know, Maisie was incredible at braiding. That was her, what I'm going to call summer camp activity and training. She helped with the alliance by taking all the tribute's tokens, making fun weaves and braids, braiding her hair. She was a master at braids. Did Maisie teach Astrid how to braid? And Astrid taught Katniss / did Katniss's hair. Is that why Katniss's mom can do such intricate style braids? And is that why Katniss has her signature braids? Is that they are essentially inherited from Maisie. So, not only did Maisie give Katniss the pen, but also the braids. Maisie's spirit is alive in the Mockingjay in this way. Her poster is painted. My girl, look how far you come with your painted poster. Okay, let's talk about our girl Effie Trinket here for a hot sec. First of all, knowing that the Trinket family was down on their luck and the family name was in the garbage, there's a couple things that you can infer from the information fed to us in Sunrise on the Reaping. And a lot of it's from the fact that their family was great aunt, great uncle, it's been a whole generation. They were most likely alive during the dark days. And the clothing style they talk about is really reflective of the clothing style in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Do you see where I'm going with this? And there's questionable blood-stained marks on the great uncle's suit and his shirt. They also note that what their family did wasn't as bad as supporting rebels. So we get a sense of a gauge and a scale of what the Capitol deems bad and acceptable in society. So you have like that threshold of no longer going to be accepted in society, we're going to shun you, versus you're accepted, but you're going to be at that low tier. I think the Trinkets were cannibals. They just crossed that threshold of being accepted in society, but they couldn't grow from there. They had that reputation because Great Aunt and Uncle Trinket did what they needed to survive in the dark days. It was just very frowned upon, as we learned from Snow's point of view in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Further, kind of going down this rabbit hole train of the Trinkets, two thoughts here. Is District 12 eventually the best that Effie Trinket could work up to? Because she got in the game, she became the new Drizella. It seems to be a pretty prominent position in the Capitals to be the escort of the tributes to the Hunger Games. You're on TV, you're help coaching the Capitol ways. Like, you are a pretty important character in Capitol society, even if you're with the bottom district. So was this a connections thing? Because we never really hear from Effie's sister again. Was this a connection family names thing? Or did Effie choose to stay with Haymitch because she saw something in him, felt bad for him, saw a friendship in him, wanted to look after him? Or was that Snow's punishment for befriending Haymitch? Her punishment was to never grow above District 12, and every year her and Haymitch had to work together to mentor young tributes from 12 to their deaths. And her punishment was to watch Haymitch every year deteriorate to a lesser version of himself. Speaking of Snow, hot take, Snow took it way too easy on Katniss. Compared to other actions that Snow took, specifically in this book, and we saw his inner monologue in the first book, that he could do some crazy things if that's where he was at 17, 18 years old. Was he just too old? Like, don't get me wrong, Katniss went through some shit, okay? I'm not degrading any of her experience, because what she went through was traumatizing, and he really messed her up. However, compared to Haymitch, compared to Beetee, compared to so many other characters that we meet in these books, Katniss got out easy. Her family wasn't destroyed by Snow. That level's important. That's Gale, and more specifically, that's Coin, is the one who destroyed Prim. Yes, Finnick, someone she cared about, that was more on the defenses. The Mutts were going to get anyone who they're going to get. He was targeting her for sure, but as far as like direct actions, I don't know, did Snow kind of lose his game in his old age? Bro was hitting like 80-something years old. I'd believe it. But you know what, Snow? I understand the hyperfixation, because what Snow kept seeing in Haymitch and Lenore Dove and in Peeta and Katniss was a blonde-haired boy with curly, messy hair falling for a Covey girl. He kept seeing himself in Haymitch and Lenore Dove, and then again in Katniss and Peeta. With Haymitch and Lenore Dove, there's a moment in Sunrise on the Reaping where he's almost having like a pep talk with Haymitch. He's like, buddy, like, your Covey girl, she's got secrets from you, she's hiding things from you, insinuating that she doesn't actually love you. Those Covey girls are wild and free. You can't hold them down, because he's speaking from experience. Like, imagine having a situationship that curses you so bad, you're still haunted by it 40 years later. My guy, you gotta get over it. You gotta go to therapy, talk it out. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. You can't take it out on every blonde-haired, curly-haired boy and Covey girl with olive skin and dark brown hair. You can't do it. You can't do it. So then he sees himself again in Katniss and Peeta. And that's why he's so adamant that Katniss does not love Peeta, because Katniss is related to the Covey. And Covey girls, they're free, they're wild, they cannot love anything, they lie, they cannot be controlled. Because remember, that's Snow's big thing, is that to love is to control something. So he probably sees himself in Peeta and is like, Peeta, poor guy, he's falling for this Covey girl, and those Covey girls are evil and wicked, and it's giving jealousy. It's giving jealous bully. Like, Snow, boo-boo, calm down, my guy. But I understand the crash out. I get it. Okay, y'all, that is it for now. I cannot guarantee I will not make a part 2 to this video, because based on your comments, I might have to. Please let me know down below, what can you not stop thinking about when it comes to Sunrise on the Reaping? What are parts of this book that are just haunting you and keeping you up at night, and how it changes the entire context of the entire Hunger Games world and universe as we know it? I know you got some thoughts in there. I know you do. But please, to keep updated on my channel, guys, like this video, comment on this video, subscribe to my page, become my newest bookish bestie. I've got new content up for you guys every single week on this page. And join the fun, join the fam. That's about it. I'll see you guys next time. And in the meantime, y'all know what to do. Happy reading.